Sure shot, baby!
So, good day, everyone. We're here for another episode of the DVD show. So, for today, we have one of the best basketball coaches here in the Philippines, and he's a five-time coach of the year and a former coach also of the Gilas Pilipinas. And currently, he's the coach of the TNT Tropang Giga. So, I'll welcome now Coach Chot Reyes. Thank you so much for coming on to the show.
Thank you, Jago. Thanks for having me, and hi to all your followers here at the DVD show.
Yeah, thank you so much po. And first of all po, I just wanted to ask how you're doing, especially kasi ECQ ngayon and syempre parang we're like on lockdown again like last year. So kamusta naman po kayo?
Well, it's not a big adjustment for me because a lot of the stuff I've been doing, we've already been very acclimatized and used to working online. The only problem really is the limited mobility and coaching wise for Tropang Giga, it's just not being able to work with the players. That's kind of set us back a little bit in our schedule, in our plans. But other than that, thankfully we've kept safe. We're healthy. Knock on wood. I hope it remains the same. We're coping as well as anyone I guess could cope.
Yeah, as you mentioned po, you were coping up well with the practices and how TNT Tropang Giga is preparing for the season. So, how did you guys adjust since I think na-cancel na po yung face-to-face training even if it was clusters this week. So, kamusta naman yung players, yung reaction nila and yeah, yung mga drills niyo and exercises, paano na bago yun?
Wala. It's really all on hold now. Everything is paused, but we've asked the players to continue doing their individual fitness regimen. They all have the things that they have to do. Our trainer has given them all take home work, and our players are very disciplined. They are taking care of themselves. But the number one thing that we've reminded them is really to be safe, to make sure that they stay home and get they strictly follow the quarantine because the nearer we get to the to opening again, there's opening date still has not been specified.
Yeah.
But the nearer we get there, the more we cannot afford to have anyone go down because of COVID.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's a really great answer po kasi syempre pag magsa-start na yung season, kailangan pa rin na healthy sila. Pero hindi yun yung parang main priority ngayon. Especially ngayon, mahirap talaga yung buhay sa Philippines.
Yes,
Yeah.
correct.
So, before I ask po about like basketball, your team composition, like the players, I wanted to ask lang, I saw your tweet po kanina in the morning na you got a new female in your coaching staff, si Mau Belen, and she's like an internship and video statistician for your team. So I wanted to ask lang po how was the process in getting her into the team, and I think siya yung first female na may position in a coaching staff sa PBA.
Yeah, I've always been intrigued by giving opportunities to females in our coaching staff. What was that? When I was still coaching Talk and Text in 2012, I'd like to say 2010, 2011, our one of our physical conditioning coaches was female. So I was already thinking, how about having a female on the coaching staff? But that's always been at the back of my mind. And then during the pandemic last year, at the height of the first lockdown, we did an outreach program for less fortunate coaches and younger coaches in the provinces, those who didn't have the means to register for the higher priced basketball coaches clinics. So we gave a master class 3 months for 3 months, and we did not charge. And two women made the cut. We chose 16 coaches from all over the country. Two women made the cut, and one of them was Coach Mao. And I was impressed by her knowledge of the game, her dedication, and I thought she would be a great addition to our staff. But she had she had limited experience, pretty raw as you can imagine. So we thought it would be best to start her off on an internship, uh, basically to learn the ropes, to do the job of video coordinator, statistician, because our regular video coordinator, statistician is seconded to Gilas with Coach Tab now. We have 3 coaches who are there. Coach Sandy, our video coordinator and statistician, and our skills coach. So this was a perfect opportunity for an intern to come in, for us to learn about her, and for her to get a feel of how it is to be coaching at the professional stage, at the professional level. So that's where we are now. Unfortunately, management was very open to it, and that's why we were able to get this thing off the ground.
Yung program po, I like the initiative the coaches did to focus also on the less fortunate people, or like yung mga people na hindi masyadong nabibigyan ng exposure. So, but tutuloy niyo po ba yun, even if nagawa niyo na yung first time?
Yeah, the plan is to really make that at least once or twice a year. The problem lang now is we were preparing to do the next run, but then I got very busy because I went back to coaching, talk and text, the Tropang Giga. So we're kind of constrained by the fact that it's not only a question of finding the time, but we are right now at the mercy of the PBA schedule. Unless we know when opening date is, when the conference is, how the season is going to play out, it's going to be very difficult for me to make a schedule like that. So that's on hold for the meantime. But yes, we fully intend to continue that program because I think we're helping a lot of people that way.
Yeah, I agree po with that. And I like na, syempre kayo yung mga top coaches sa Philippines. So pag natuto sila sa'yo, madami silang matututunan that they can apply also in their future endeavors.
We call that puso para sa nagtuturo. It's really for the coaches, and the hashtag is pay it forward. That's really hashtag pay it forward.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask po also yung thoughts niyo about the gender equality or inequality for others. Kasi like in basketball or in sports, it's more like male dominated, and even sa NBA, parang ngayon lang yung nabibigyan ng pansin yung WNBA, like yung max salary sa WNBA, it's different from NBA. Pero since nga for you said you're open to having female individuals in your coaching staff, since matagaling naman talaga sila, hindi lang nabibigyan ng opportunities. So what are your thoughts about gender equality here in the country, and how maybe it can improve?
Well, for me, I'm very, very open to equal opportunities. For me, it doesn't matter, especially on the coaching and management side. And like I told you earlier, we already had the female physical therapist before. Now we have a female assistant coach. So hopefully our efforts are going to spur others or into giving opportunities as well, and hopefully the young women or the young girls who are looking catch the having a female coaching staff in the pro ranks catches their attention, and maybe it inspires them to pursue a path on that as well. So um, all we're doing is opening the door, providing opportunities. And like I told you, I'm a firm believer in giving equal opportunities. And hopefully, by doing this, we're able to open more doors for women, because I sincerely believe there is a the women belong to sports as much as men do. In fact, when I was with TV5 and we were running ESPN5, we had the program ESPNW. We really wanted to create a channel, a vertical for female sports. That's how much I believe in female sports.
Yeah, I agree po. And I really like the work also being done by the females here and even abroad, kasi syempre it's a challenge for them, pero it doesn't hinder them in order to achieve what they believe they really deserve also in the sporting industry. Yeah. So the next part I'd want to talk about is, as you mentioned, you're the new head coach of the TNT Tropang Giga, replacing Bong Ravenna and acting consultant Mark Dickel. So I wanted to ask you po, how was the process for TNT to hire you once again, since before in their successful runs in the early 2010s, you were their head coach. And now you're back at the helm. So, paano nangyari yun? Kasi parang you weren't coaching na for so long, tapos biglang bumalik ka.
Well, on why they decided to hire me, you have to ask them. I really don't know. But I was surprised. I have already fully embraced my kind of new life of business executive coaching and doing the other things that I'm currently doing. And then what was that? A month or two ago, I received a call from the chairman, Mr. MVP, and he just sprung the question to my surprise. And I actually asked for a few days to think about it, because I was completely caught off guard. I really didn't expect it. I thought I was really done with professional basketball coaching. But like I preach agility, and that I had to practice what I preach, right? And here is an opportunity, and I thought that by taking it and going back to coaching in the PBA, it would give me a bigger platform to advance my advocacy. My advocacy, my mission is to help develop the next generation of Filipino leader. The men and women who lead their organizations not only to make a profit, but to make a difference. And I thought by being in the PBA, I mean, there are 10 Filipino coaches out of 100 million Filipinos in the PBA. I mean, we have 12 teams, but there are only 10 Filipino coaches.
Yeah.
So I thought that would give me the that platform to further my advocacy. So I thought that was pretty important. And here was a situation where, take a look at what's going on now. So many people are losing jobs, and then here I am. A job is being offered to me. Who am I to turn it down, right? So that's the reason why I took it. But as to why they decided to offer it to me, you have to ask them.
Yeah, but I feel naman it's a good move, especially later I'll ask you also, si Kelly Williams bumalik, tapos I bet sila Jason Castro, sila Roger Pugoy ma-motivate sila na babalik ka na, kasi champion sila ng mga all-Filipino dati, ikaw yung head coach mo.
Well, let's hope.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask po about the bubble performance of TNT, kasi kinapos nga sila nung finals against Ginebra. Well, they weren't healthy, but if they were healthy, you never know, baka nga they would have won. Pero from an outsider's point of view, since you weren't part of the team yet at that time, what do you think were what was lacking on the team, especially nung finals? Kasi doon sila nahirapan. They almost got swept. And you as a coach, how do you think you can address those weaknesses?
First of all, you're right. I thought it was a difficult situation for for TNT because they lost their best player effectively. That was Rayray Parks, right?
Yeah.
And that's where we really saw the value of Kelly Williams. That's why when I was asked to come back, uh, the first guy that I called was Kelly, and I asked him, "If I'm coming back, are you coming back?" And of course, he said, "Yep." So
Yeah.
that's where we are today, right? So aside from that, I also thought that the team needed some more depth, and that's why all the moves that were made, the signing of Kubuntin, of Dave
Yeah.
Marcelo, and now Kelly, and then unfortunately we had to give up Enciso and Dave Semerad to be able
Oh
to
yeah.
be in a position to draft Mikey Williams. But we got Brian Heruela back, and I thought
Mhm.
that's an important piece for us as well. So I really like the way the team is being put together, the way it's being constructed. But losing Rayray Parks, I'm not gonna make any bones about it. That's a big blow. That's a real big blow, and that really concerns us going into this tournament. But hopefully, having said that, I think Mikey is going to add a lot to the mix. Mikey Williams, and hopefully, I always believe there's no one player who can fill the shoes of Ray, but the combined effort of everyone else, not only the new guys coming in, but even the others. Hopefully, they can more than compensate for not having Ray around.
Would you say po na yung trade it wouldn't have happened because if Rayray was there, maybe you didn't even if you didn't have a draft pick in this year's draft, you wouldn't have traded Enciso and David Semerad to get Mikey, or was that in the table na before Rayray made his announcement?
Yeah, even before I came on board, there were already discussions apparently, but
Oh.
it just became more urgent when we found out that Ray was not coming back.
Yeah, I believe Mikey is a great player also for the dribble drive offense that you impart always to your teams. It's the system that you always use, even in Gilas. And Mikey's, I don't know, he's like a younger Stanley Pringle nga daw, sabi ng sa mga sports shows. And I don't know if what you think about that. And I've seen him play maybe a couple of games only for Mikey, and I feel he'll really be a great impact player for your team, especially because Jason Castro's what like 36 na. So Mikey will be a great player to be a shooting guard or a backup point guard to Jason.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of potential. Unfortunately, game is not played on potential, right? So we have to wait till we see him on the floor before we make any assessments. But yeah, we're very excited.
Yeah. How about Kelly Williams po? You mentioned already kanina that you really have a good relationship with him. And yeah, he told you that he's gonna come back if you come back. And what do you think he can bring to the team, like as presently constructed? Because you have Troy now and JT Eram. Pero yeah, yung sinasabi mo nga po kanina sa bubble, medyo sa depth, nahirapan sila. But with Kelly, I think people kind of forget that he was an MVP before. So he can still
Well, we
provide.
only have one real big guy on the team, and that's Poy Eram.
Yeah.
So Kelly provides that glaring need. But more than being a big guy, Kelly's the big guy that we want. He's athletic, he's quick, he can run, he is multi-skilled. He can do a lot of things for us. So it's not just that he's a big man, but he's the big man that we want, that we need in this team to be able to play the style we want to play. That's number one. Secondly, it's going to be his leadership. He's going to be one of the leaders of this team, and that's the kind of veteran presence that is so crucial, especially as you go into the later stages of a tournament. I mean, we no longer have Harvey Carey,
Oh
so
yeah, he retired.
the team is really going to be wanting in veteran leadership. So
Yeah.
Kelly is going to be able to provide that.
I believe also that TNT can also compete with the best, even if people are talking about the San Miguel trade or the Ginebra trade. I feel, TNT can compete with them pa rin to reach, the semis and the finals. Kung kailan man mag-start yung conference. Kasi ngayon,
Yeah.
medyo in the limbo.
Well, I hope the others don't think so, so that they take us lightly.
Well, but they have so many Gilas players po. So they'll really think na malakas kayo. So I wanted to revisit din po yung coaching career nyo, like your humble beginnings and how you started with coaching. Because I usually do that po with athletes that I have guested so far in my podcast. So for you, I wanted to ask lang if you were, how did you grow in love with basketball po? Was it like your first love? And did you want to be like a basketball player before pero hindi natuloy? Ano po yung story niyo when you were a child? Childhood memories?
My eldest, my first memory. Yeah, I guess if I think back to my childhood, the very first memory that comes to my mind is my father coming home with a wrapped package, and it was shaped like a ball inside with a rim. And when it was my birthday was in a few days, and sure enough, when I opened it, it was just a small basketball with a small type rim with a board. And so that is my earliest memory. So I know that I had loved the game from a very young age. And I played all throughout grade school at the Ateneo, high school, varsity, college, varsity. And obviously, I was influenced and impacted by the coaches that I had. I had a very good coach in first year high school by the name of Father James O'Brien. He was my coach in first year and second year high school. And then he was our religion teacher as well.
Oh.
And then in college, I was coached by the Nervasa brothers. Well, when I was fourth year high school, in the UAP junior team in third year and high school, my coach was Oji Nervasa. And in college, I was coached by his brother, the older brother, Chito Nervasa.
Oh.
So all of the coaches that I had made an impression on me. So much so that I thought this is pretty neat. I kind of want to do this, as perhaps as an option after college. And then, fortunately, while I was still in college, second year college, the high school team needed a coach. The first year high school team in which I played for before needed a coach, and the athletic director, Father Holscher, asked me if I wanted to do it, if I had the time to do it. And I said, sure, I wanted to give it a shot. And I enjoyed it. We became successful in it. And so that went on until fourth year college. When I graduated, the head coaching job of the Ateneo junior team, the UAP team, opened up, and they gave me that job, and we won. We won that championship, and then that led to me coaching the senior team, the Ateneo senior. But I was coaching the team in the down years when we were not. Well, we weren't winning. That was in between the after the June Reyes years, the back-to-back, and because that's always basketball in Ateneo is cyclical. So we had the back-to-back years, and then we had the dark years. That's why we call that our team the Dark Eagles. And then comes the Norman Black years, where the successive winning, and then there was a period where we weren't winning when the school wasn't winning. And then comes now the Tab Baldwin year. So now it's an up year again. So it's pretty cyclical in that sense. So I was in the down years, the Dark Eagles. But like I said, I think it helped my coaching because when you get used to coaching with inferior talent, with inferior size, then it forces you to be creative, to improvise, to think of different ways to beat the opponents. And I think I have used that in good stead in the professional ranks all the way to the national team level. So that's where it started. It started very early, even while I was still in college. And then when I graduated, I I worked corporate for my first 5 years until Tim Cone had an opening in Alaska as an assistant, and he interviewed me. And then my coaching teeth were really developed in the 3 years between 1990 to 92. So 1990, 91, 92, I was coaching the Ateneo Seniors basketball team. I was head coach. I was head coach of Ateneo Seniors UAP team. I was head coach of Burger Machine in the old PABL, and I was the assistant coach of Team Cone at Alaska. So I was holding 3 different coaching jobs for those 3 years, and that was like my master's. That was like my master's degree in coaching, where I really cut my coaching teeth and I really learned a lot. And that's why after that, 1993, the head coaching job in Purefoods opened up. They offered it to me. I was 29 years old. Even if I was young, I thought I was ready because the 3 years coaching 3 teams was like an equivalent of 10 years experience. So that's where it started.
How were you able to balance all your time with coaching 3 different teams with different players, different personalities, and how were I'm pretty sure you were successful naman. So how were you able to do that as a human? I mean, it's hard to do that.
With great difficulty. um, it came to a point where I was literally mixing up the plays. I was diagramming a play in a UAP game, and then I said, "Uy, Alaska play pala to." It came to that point, but just with it's just a matter of number one, discipline, dedication, and focus, and prioritizing your energy to make sure that you have the energy to be at your best for those 3 things. So it was difficult. The So to answer your question, how I was able to do it, I did it with great difficulty, but using a lot of discipline and dedication. So my practice for the Ateneo seniors team was 5 in the morning because that's the only time I had. We couldn't practice at 8 or 9 o'clock because the players had class.
Yeah.
So it was either a 6 p.m. practice or a 5 a.m. practice. I couldn't do a 6 p.m. practice because I was also coaching in the PBA, and obviously the PBA games were
At
in the
night,
evening. So it was a 5 a.m. So that was my schedule for 3 years. 5 a.m. practice, 5 to 7. And then I would literally, after practice, sleep, take a nap in the athletic director's office. And then I'd wake up for my 10 to 12 practice with Alaska over at the Reyes gym. Our practice with Alaska was 1 to 4 or 2 to 4 over at the Reyes gym in Mandaluyong. And then 10 to 12 was my Burger Machine, my PBL practice. And I kept the evenings, the late afternoon to evenings open because sometimes that's the game. Those are the times where the PBA games would be held. So that's just, as you can imagine, that's why my voice got shot so early and I couldn't pursue a singing career because I have been perennially hoarse. Because it's just difficult. But like I said, I learned very early how to manage energy, and the key there is if you are in your passion, if you are working in an area of your passion, then you will find the time, you will find the energy, and when you're doing what you love, then you will find a way. And basically, that's what I did. I remember I was still working as well at the time. I was a young father, trying to raise my kids as well. It was not like basketball was the only thing I was doing. I already had a family. I was a young father raising kids as well. We had our business. We had a couple of business that we were also running. So it was pretty difficult.
Yeah, I really like po the point of balancing the three practices, but being able to excel. And you said nga, if you really love what you're doing, you'll find a way. And I really feel that anyone could relate to that. Hindi lang kailangan basketball coach or basketball player. Kahit anong job or venture that they're focusing, it could really be applied. And I really like the lessons nga po that you imparted kasi I think it showed rin with your next coaching stints na na-apply mo rin yun sa nung time na yun, and the players responded well with TNT and Gilas and all these other coaching stints.
If you notice, I never said I manage my time. I don't really manage my time. All I do is manage my energy. Because as long as I have the energy, I will find the time. The problem is if you don't have the energy, then there's not much that you can do, right? So for me, it's really managing my energy. And like I said, I find that when you are doing what you love, you will find the energy. You will find because that's fueled by your dedication, by your commitment, and so on and so forth. So I think that's a principle, that's a tenet that I believe, that's a tenet, a principle that I teach even in my executive development, leadership development workshops and all that about energy management.
How about po in your first two stints in the PBA with Santa Lucia and Purefoods? Because I believe you've said also in previous interviews na nagulat ka with what happened after, like kung paano ka nawala sa team nila because you were successful with the championship in Purefoods and the third place finish in Santa Lucia. And it was really tough. I forgot kung anong show yun, pero you shared nga kung gaano kakalungkot po nung nangyari yun for both na hindi ka nabalik as coach or hindi na-renew yung contract niyo. Pero as a person na lang po, more than like the team itself, ano yung mga additional lessons that you learned personally that you applied also in your next coaching stints? Kasi nung time na yun, medyo tough yun. I mean, I'm not you, pero like, visualizing lang or imagining how you felt, medyo mahirap yun kasi kala mo successful ka na with the championships as after a few weeks or months, wala na.
Here's a lesson they don't teach you in school, that in teams, it's better to have a hole than to have an a-hole. Get it? So
Yeah.
I was an a-hole. So even if I was winning, the teams preferred to just have a hole. Di bali lang wala siya kesa sa meron tayong a-hole dyan.
Yeah.
So that's a lesson that like I said, you don't learn in school. And there's a lot of things that people can learn from that incident. I thought that I was the best. I thought it was all about me as the leader, that I was such a great leader, I was such a great coach. But it doesn't matter how talented you are as a leader or as a coach. If your people stop working for you, you can throw it all out the window. It doesn't mean a thing. So those are those two things. If you can just keep that in mind, that it's better to on teams. And I hear that all the time. People, sometimes we kind of tolerate this guy or this person on our team or in our organization. Kasi you'll say, kasi coach, walang kapalit eh. Then my response always is better to have a hole than to have an a-hole. And then secondly, and I say this to all the leaders I get a chance to talk to, it's not about us as the leaders. It's really not about us. It doesn't matter how good or talented you are. It's really about how you lead your people, because when they stop playing or working hard for you, you can throw all your experience, your college degree, your knowledge, your IQ, you can throw it all out the window. Your skills doesn't mean a thing. And the final thing it taught me, that nothing like sports teaches to any person, is how to recover. how to stand up after a loss. Nothing teaches you that better than sports. That you give it your best, you work your hardest, you done everything that was required, and still you lose. Uh, and that's what I learned there. I did everything and I was delivering on every important performance metric for a coach, and still two teams decided to fire me. So what to do? Just stand up. You can't just sit there and feel sorry for yourself and pity yourself. Just stand up. There's no drama, no bells and whistles. Just stand up. And I get asked that question all the time, especially now in this pandemic. Coach, we just had a big setback, a big problem. Paano ka ba bumangon? Paano ba tumayo? How do you recover? How do you get back up? And my answer is very simple. Just get back up. Don't think about it. Don't wish it. Don't pray for it. Just frigging stand up. Don't expect anyone to pull you up or anyone to pity you, the government, the economy. No, just stand up. Because when you stand up, you can take one small step and then another small step and then another. And pretty soon you'll develop momentum and pretty soon you'll find yourself back in the race again. So no drama. And the problem with a lot of people when they experience a setback or meet some failure or challenge is the drama, right? We kind of pity, and then we start blaming people, and then we say, well, when things get better, I'll get back up. Oh, no, I'm planning this. When this goes, then okay, I'll be fine. And well, if the economy gets better, no. How do you get up? Just get up. Just get up. Simple as that.
Yeah, I agree po with your point, and I really think na it will also takes a ton amount of maturity, I guess, for a person. Kasi kung hindi pa mature mag-isip nga, parang yun, it's gonna cause drama and a lot of other side stuff. Pero in the end, yung kailangan mo gawin, dun ka na lang mag-focus, which is nga to stand up and bounce back from the setbacks. Kesa, magsalita ka lang or makipag-away ka, it won't really lead you to anywhere. But your objective must be to rekindle or like revisit the great stuff in your life.
Yeah, make no mistake. You should give yourself time to grieve, right? That's part of the process. But then some people kasi forever grieving na lang, diba? So you should still give yourself time to grieve, but then at a certain time, just pick up the pieces. Just stand up. No drama, no bells and whistles. Nothing to it. Just get back up.
Yeah, parang don't dwell on it too much. You can dwell on it for a short amount of time, but not so long naman na parang tagal-tagal. So yung coaching stint mo po, nag-Coca-Cola ka po, tapos nag-Philippine team, mga mid-2005, tapos you were part of the Gilas 2017 then. Pero later, I'll focus on the Gilas talk. Pero first, I'd want to ask the questions about the TNT dynasty from when you're coaching stint from 2008 to 2012, and you've won numerous championships there. And I wanted to ask lang first how could you explain your system, yung dribble-drive offense to like people na hindi masyadong familiar with it? How will you describe it, and how will you say na successful siya, especially na alam ko kasi it's good for players that aren't tall, ganyan. Kasi GB Alapag used to say that perfect in dribble drive because we're small, but we can still be successful with it.
Yeah, it was really a matter of necessity. That hasn't always been my system. For me, situation dictates strategy. So when I was with Purefoods, the situation was I had the two best post players in the league.
Yeah.
And Alvin Patrimonio and Jericho Diniera. So our game was low post, low post, low post. Let the defense collapse, kick it out to our shooters. But really, our offense was fueled by our low post guys. And then I went to talk, and then same thing with Santa Lucia. We had Jun Limpot and Dennis Espino. Really, two of the best there ever was in that position.
Yeah.
But then when I moved over to Coke, we were a donut. you know the donut, no center, right? I
Yes.
mean, we had a tall guy, Rafi Rifis, but he's
Right.
not really a center.
Yeah.
So we had to come up with a system. Again, situation dictates strategy that took advantage of our other strengths, our speed, our quickness, our defensive abilities, and we were running as a version of kind of the Princeton offense motion at that time. And then when I went over to talk and tech, and then uh, like you said, I coached the national team the first time in 2007, and we found that all the screening and everything that you were doing didn't work in the international stage because the teams, we were so small. All the teams will just switch our screens, and we would never
Yeah.
get any advantage. I mean, the guy guarding our shooter, Don Hontiveros, was 6'6". Now Don Hontiveros will get a screen from Kirby Raimundo, who's 6'6" also.
Switch.
So they'll just switch, and
Yeah.
Kirby will not have an advantage over Don's man because they're just the same size. So I
Yeah.
said, switching, we didn't get anywhere with screening. So we just opened the floor and tried to beat people, break people down with our speed and our ball handling ability. But we didn't know at the time that was the dribble drive. So we just called it whatever, our open system.
Yeah.
So fast forward to talk and text. John Calipari starts winning in the USNCAA, and he was using the dribble drive. Now we took a look at it, and then we
Okay.
found out, and we actually went to the inventor, the guy who, not the inventor, the guy who put it, popularized it, a coach by the name of Vance Wahlberg. I went to his hometown where he was coaching where he was visiting his daughter, who was a coach of a high school team in, I think it was Dakota, in the middle of nowhere in California, someplace. No, it wasn't Dakota. It was, I forget. But in the middle of nowhere
Yeah.
in California. So we spent a week and we learned the intricacies of the offense, and then we come back and we tweak it a little bit to make it more Filipino style. And then it lo and behold, it became very, very successful with talk and text, because we didn't have any big guys as well, except, I mean, our only tall guy was Kelly Williams. But other than that, we were among the shortest in the league. So the dribble drive worked very well for talk and text, and it was very natural then to bring it to Gilas, to the international stage. And it was a system that they've never seen before in the international stage. In fact, when the European coaches started coming and they saw us play, they said, "Oh, the Philippines, they play with no system," because it really looks like bara basketball,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
To the untrained eye.
Yeah.
But that's exactly what we wanted them to think. We wanted them to think that we played with no system. So when the FIBA Asia Championships began here, we might have, I think, 5 or 6 European coaches. The coach of Iran, the coach of Jordan, the coach of so many different teams. They had European coaches. China had a hotshot Greek coach, and so our style of play was completely alien to them. And fortunately, we were successful. We brought it to the World Championships. And even Prigioni himself said that, we were doing something. They couldn't figure out what we were doing.
Yes.
We couldn't understand what the Philippines was doing. And we took them to the final shot, right? We took all the teams there to the last possession. So, but like I said, it was born more out of necessity. I wish I could say came out of my ingenuity, but no, it was really out of necessity and just a willingness to learn. We were very open to learn, and we flew to the places to find the originator, and just learned and learned and learned.
one other aspect po that I believe that you're really good at as a leader and as a coach is managing egos po. Kasi like in TNT, you had so many superstars and Jimmy Alapag, Jason Castro, sila Kelly, Ryan Reyes, I think who else was there? Larry Funashare, Jared Dillinger. Basta madami po. And then in Gilas then halos lahat superstars in their PBA teams. But then you have a way of making them buy into your system and sacrificing certain touches or usage rate, yung mga ganun, basta like to fulfill their role. Like I remember po in TNT, I don't know what year, pero merong import si Tyrus Wade. I think nag-away kayo or something and then pinauwi siya because like he thinks he's above you, I guess, or something, because I forgot kung ba't kayo nag-away, but then you kept firm on what you believed in and you didn't follow him and inaway ka nga niya and siya yung umuwi. But then I
We
really
sent him home.
yeah, I appreciate po that you really you're able to manage the egos of superstars and people that think they're above you. So I wanted to ask po what's your way of doing that in both TNT and Gilas?
Well, first of all, sa TNT, we had the great fortune of having really great guys because we really take a lot of pain and care in choosing players. So the selection process for your players is very, very important. And all the players you mentioned in TNT, there was not one big ego player there. Not Jimmy, not Jason, not Harvey, not Ronnie Del, not at all, not Larry Fonashare. They're all we call them great people. They're good people. So we really took a lot of effort in making sure that we build a team of good people. And we had to trade the best players. We traded Jay Washington, who was, as he speak, perhaps the best, most individually talented player in the PBA. And then later on we traded Mac Cardona, who was the league leader in scoring.
I remember,
Yeah, we traded a 22-point a game player for an 8 points a game player in Larry Fonashare.
Yeah.
But that's my belief. The best individually talented players do not necessarily make the best team.
Okay.
So what makes the best team are people who fit each other. I always choose players based on fit. Do they fit the system that I have in mind for playing, and do they fit each other? So that's the way we did it. And the same thing sa Gilas. It was the same thing. Will they fit the system that we had in mind, and will they fit each other's personalities and styles of play? And the main ingredient there was really the compelling purpose. And that's how you are able to make sure that you get all those egos in check, because you have to get them committed to buy into a compelling purpose first. So in Gilas, we actually had players sign a letter, a commitment letter. And in that letter, it says, I'm going to give up my practice, my vacation, my time with the family, because in the off-season, I will train for Gilas with no assurance that I will make the final 12.
Mm-hmm.
So I asked them, if you're willing to sign this letter, then you'll be part of the pool. But if you're not, then that's fine. We shake hands and good luck to you. I wish you well. So everyone who made the pool signed that letter. So they didn't mind. So we had some players who never made the final 12. We had some players who sat on the bench, who didn't get enough touches and enough shots. But hey, we had that compelling purpose. That's where we started. So and that's something that is very important. And even when I work with organizations and companies and businesses in building teams, we teach a very specific step-by-step process in building teams to organizations. As in, how do you build your team? Step 1, step 2, step 3. So it's a process that has been backed up by research globally, and it works. So and then of course I'm able to reinforce it with my experience as a sports coach as well.
Yeah, I agree po with the really the basic point. Yung unang pong po sinabi niyo na you need the players to fit into the team. You don't really get like the 12 most talented players and then you put them in your team. It's really not the way to form a team. It's more of because they need merong specific roles that they need to fulfill. And I think perfect po yung ginawa niyo for both TNT and Gilas kasi nga yun, you said po the players bought in and they were willing to make sacrifices, whether less shots, less points, pero yung goal na accomplish niyo pa rin.
Yeah, in the end, that's what it's all about, right?
Yeah. So I talked po to Gabe Norwood like a few episodes back, and we talked a lot about the Gilas stints, the FIBA Asia, and then the World Cup. But he mentioned also that it all started for him, in his opinion, it all started in the Jones Cup in 2012. He felt na yun yung parang springboard for the FIBA Asia in 2013 and 2014. And your opinion po, do you agree with that? And what else could you add po with that Jones Cup stint and how it propelled you for the success that occurred in the next few years?
The Jones Cup was the experiment. That's where we
Ah,
could really see for the first time if what we were doing worked. Our bara-bara style of basketball, if it's going to be in the international stage. And we didn't even have our top players then, right? So
yeah, yeah.
we have a lot of the pool members who didn't eventually make the final cut were there, and still it turned out well. So having winning the Jones Cup did two things. Number one, it gave credibility to what we were doing. So now everyone, if there were some doubts whether it would work, it all disappeared. People said, no, this thing works. So everyone now bought into it even more. And secondly, even some of the players who were kind of on the fence if they wanted to join the team or not, they made the plunge. When they saw, wow, grabe yung experience, so it was so cool to win a championship. We beat Team USA and so on and so forth. So that got, I think, more than anything, that got the country behind Gilas. I think that was the real start of it when they saw, wow, this team was special. And here is David beating Goliath, LA Tenorio running rings around those Americans,
Yeah.
and Philippines beating the US. So
Uh,
doon na nag-umpisa yung Gilas, kind of the Gilas mystique, right? Here is a team of guys, they're the shortest, they're not too experienced internationally, but they just work hard and they play together as a team.
Yeah. And I also wanted to ask po yung how you prepared for these tournaments. Because feeling ko lang, I also told Gabe po na yung years after you were the coach, medyo feeling ko nakulangan sa preparation, like practice time, bonding, and all these things. Pero he mentioned a lot of memories and lessons he learned from you because the stuff you do daw po off the court were really nice. Like, for example po sa Miami, I believe, and yung mga training camps before the World Cup, parang you left the country like 2 months before the tournament, or I don't know, yeah, 2 months, and then you went all over the world. Like you met Andre Blatch pa nga daw po in Miami. So sa'yo po, what's your plan when it comes to these teams that you parang you imparted on them in order to be successful, even if in my opinion po they're not like the most talented bunch, pero pag sa court ang galing na nila.
It's the manner in how you use the time allotted to you, because no Philippine team will ever be prepared because we're working within the constraints of the PBA schedule, right? So just like me and just like every coach before me or after me, we didn't have enough time to practice. But I think my advantage is I'm a trained team builder, team facilitator. So aside from the basketball stuff that we were doing, everything that Gabe was telling you about, those were our team building activities outside the basketball court, outside just practice. And I think that's my advantage over the other coaches because I am trained in that as well. So team dynamics, team facilitation. So we were able to do a lot of those other activities that Gabe was talking about that strengthened our bond even more. So that in the game, you basically, and I'm sure if you ask any player in Gilas, they will tell you we're brothers first, even before we're teammates.
Yeah.
And they knew that they could trust each other with their lives. As in, ganun kalalim yung bond sa Gilas. So it just manifested itself in the games when they just would not allow themselves to lose. A lot of times, I had very little to do with it. It's just them, nagtitingin lang sila. They'll just feed off the energy of each other, and they would just refuse to lose. I mean, you have to beat us. You have to carry us out of the court. And it took the best efforts of Argentina and Puerto Rico and Croatia, to beat those guys. And in the end, I guess that's just the kind of the secret sauce there, the kind of brotherhood, the kind of bond that was built. And that's why when I talk to organizations, I always tell them, build a team. You've got to be a team. You cannot be a team in name only. You have to really be a team. You have to work with one heartbeat. And that's what we were able to get those guys to do. They work not only towards one goal or one objective, but they work with one heartbeat. And that's a team.
Yeah. From the basketball side of things naman po, ano yung tingin nyo na pagkukulang with the close losses? Like nung Argentina, like Jason Castro didn't get you attempt the last shot. And then sa Croatia, I think Jeff Chan missed the game-tying 3. So do you believe po it was more of first time kasi yung first appearance niyo sa World Cup kaya nagkulang sa endgame?
It was just experience. It was experience and a lack of respect. I mean, that miss of Jeff Chan, that was a clear foul.
Yeah.
To that game winner, he was fouled. But the referees would not believe that we could beat Croatia. So if you watch that game, it was a lack of respect because we were first timers. Jason, that was my fault. I should have gotten the team or Jason, the players, a better shot. And that's a coach's job. A coach's job is to get the best shot for the team, to put the players in position to make the shot. Making the shot, that's the player's job. But and after the game, I said that's on me. I should have gotten or devised a better play. We wanted to get to Jimmy then, but they did a very good job of denying Jimmy, switching to deny him. We couldn't get him the ball. We should have gotten a better option for the players. So that's on me. That's the coach's fault. That's my fault. And I always say, as coaches, as leaders, our job is to get our people the best shot possible. But making that shot, that's their job. That's our people's job.
Yeah. And then the following tournament po was the Asian Games, I believe. And there nagka-issue po with how people said na yung kay Marcus Douthit and you, that you benched him nung isang game. So I wanted to ask lang po your perspective or the story on what really happened there. And syempre, that time, I remember everyone was bashing you without really knowing the true or both sides of the story or the true story. So how do you deal din po with the bashers since, you have social media din po? And what was the real story with the Douthit situation?
Well, it's very simple. At halftime of the game, he didn't want to come out anymore because he thought that I pulled him out too early. And like I said, we had that commitment, right? Nobody should ever question their playing time, substitution pattern, whatever. But fine, we can go back and forth. That's fine.
Yeah.
We can have shouting matches. We have shouting matches with Gabe, but never quit on your teammates. The problem is Marcus didn't come out to play in the second half. That's the problem. And that went against everything that we had worked for, everything that we valued as a team. So he quit on his teammates. He quit on his team. So we made a decision, and I asked the players about it, the local players. So what are we going to do? And we decided as a team to bench him the next day. And the problem is it was the game against Korea. And so when we lost that game, that effectively blew our chances of advancing, and we had to go through a very difficult process to move forward.
I remember.
Essentially, that was it. So, I got bashed and all that, but in the end, I did what I thought was right. I consulted my players. We were all in that decision together. And if it happens, I do the same thing. I mean, the bashers can bash me all they want. I've already developed a very thick skin about it, but
Yeah.
they're not the ones with us in the trenches. So I always tell the bashers and all that, unless you're with us every day at practice and you see what we're doing, then, yeah, you can criticize what we want to do. You can question our strategy, our decisions, and so on and so forth. But don't tell us how to do our jobs,
For
because
sure. Yes.
we're the one who is there every single day in every single practice. Now, if you're there with us, okay, you're welcome. You're welcome to craft strategy, talk strategy, and do post game analysis with us. But if you're not there, then yeah, okay, you can do your backseat driving. You can do your Monday night quarterbacking, but unless you're there, and I think it was Eric Spolstra who said that very well. He said, "You'll never know. You'll never know. They'll never know unless you've been there in the midst of a big game or of a best of 7 finals in a game 7. You never know. You'll never know the kind of pressure, the kind of difficulty it is to get your team playing at the highest level. So, I'm fine with it. I thought that we played the game according to our values, and in the end, we lost. We got bashed for it. That's the way it is. That's how coaching is in the Philippines, right? When you
For
win,
sure. Yeah.
magaling yung players. When you lose, tanga yung coach.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a truism I've long learned to live with.
Yeah, when I read po articles before I interviewed you, whenever Gilas loses, parang it's always you na may kasalanan. Pero pag nananalo, bihira yung parang sinabi, oh, you won because Coach Chot like put them in a position to succeed with the open shots and the great defense. Pero baliktad lang talaga yung mga...
That's part of the job.
Yeah. So moving on po with the next few years, kasi FIBA ulit from 2015 till the 2019 World Cup where we were unfortunately last place. In your opinion po, ano yung mga lapses na we could have avoided or saan tayo nagkukulang? Because I believe we have the talent naman and we have the great coaching staff that we've had with Coach Tab and then Coach Yang and then now Coach Tab again. But then, in your opinion po, what do you think is lacking? Kasi in my opinion, baka po it's like the players, like it's in and out, like wala silang bond or chemistry together. Tapos in a few weeks lang,
That's
laban
right.
kagad.
Coaches are always put in a difficult position. Coach Yang was put in a very difficult position. I mean, he had to step in mid-stride when I decided to step away after the Australia incident, right after the brawl, and it was very difficult. I mean, they decided to overhaul the program right in the midst instead of just taking that suspension and then moving forward. But the powers that be decided otherwise, and that's the way things are in sports. You make decisions. If you're successful, great. But if not, then it's always 50-50, right? But what if they did a really good job there and all that? So it's always a 50-50 proposition. That's why we love sports. Sometimes we win, we get successful. Sometimes we're not as successful.
How about po from the Australia incident, yung game? Meron ka bang new lesson that you learned po as a person or even as a coach? Kasi yeah, it was a really unfortunate incident then that happened. I didn't expect it to escalate. Pero not focusing on what happened in the court and yeah, dun sa arena. As a person lang po, did you learn anything new from that situation?
Yeah, I wish I had been able to kind of restrain the players even more, but that's really hindsight. I mean, the players, the team was pushed to such an edge already that it was very, very difficult. I mean, we prepared them so much to really fight till the end for a victory. Unfortunately, it turned out that way. Like I said, we're sorry it turned out that way, but we will always fight for our pride, for our country, and most importantly, we always fight for each other. And the learning there, it's not really a new learning. It's something that I've already learned, and I knew a long time. It's just nothing really lasts. Nothing really lasts for forever. You think you're nice, you're preparing 2017 for the 2019, and then at the flick of in an instant, it's all gone.
Yeah.
So just that's why for me, every moment that you have, you always have to give of your best, because you'll never know. You'll
Yeah.
never know. In a flick of in a flick of a finger, just in an instant, things can change and change drastically.
Yeah, I think it really caused po a ripple effect kasi nga po yun, you step down po and then the players were suspended. It caused like some losses in the qualifying windows. You really wouldn't have known what could have happened po if if the incident didn't happen. Baka we could have been successful din sa World Cup or something po,
But
di ba? You really wouldn't
who
know.
knows? But
Yeah.
you will never know. It might also be the same, right? But
Yeah.
yeah, we'll never know. It's ganun talaga eh. So that's why I prefer to just not dwell too much on it and just move forward. Focus
Yeah.
on the now and in the future.
Yeah. With the new Gilas po, since if matuloy po yung OQT, I think matutuloy po. We have a all amateur lineup po with the trained and the bubble. Pero pinauwi lang po like yesterday ata. What are your thoughts naman po with Coach Tab and how he's forming the team now since he's the program director and he has a lot of really promising players. Pero as you said po, it's not, since kanina in the start yata, you said like it's potential, pero potential lang. It really needs to be seen on the floor that they're successful. So ano naman yung opinion nyo on the Gilas now, the current team?
Well, this is something that we've been talking already about for like 10 years. We should have done this 10 years ago, finally. And I laud Coach Tab, the SBB, for finally biting the bullet and getting it done. Even if you remember a few years back, as soon as we won the hosting rights for 2023, we put together the 23 for 23 pool, remember?
Yeah, I remember,
That was already the goal.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, again, it got derailed and all that, but now it's being done. And I think that's the future. I think that's the future. And I'd just like to tell everyone, again, it's a work in progress. Let's manage the expectations with that group. But that's the way we should do it. I mean, we cannot forever be relying on the PBA, because like you're seeing now, even if the PBA really wants to help, but they as well are facing their own scheduling problems and own scheduling issues, right? So putting this young group together, this is how Argentina's golden generation came about. That group of Ginobili, Nocioni, Scola, they were together since they were under 16. Same thing with Iran. The group of
Haddadi.
Haddadi, Barami, and all that. The first time they came here, we were killing them. We were massacring that group. When we were the under 19 team, and then they just grew together and developed, and now they
talo tayo ng mga ibang teams.
So that's just the way to do it, and we are going to go through that as well. But I've always believed that that's the way to do it. So yeah, kudos, and they have my support, full support.
Yeah. So as we wind down po our interview, I wanted to thank you lang po again for coming to the podcast. Pero I wanted to ask a last few questions that I normally ask all my guests also. So one of that po is, po sa NBA, there was a Black Lives Matter and athletes and their players were socially active nung George Floyd and Jacob Blake incident. So here po in the Philippines, in my opinion po, yung athletes, they're not as vocal and as articulate or maybe knowledgeable also with the social issues. So hindi rin nila alam kung ano yung platform na pwede nilang gamitin in order to educate people with social issues or even voting like in 2022 po. So in your opinion, should athletes also be involved with the social issues and political issues? And do you really think po that Filipino athletes could be more educated or could be more vocal to teach their followers, since baka yung followers nila may mga sinasabi pala pero if their idol says it, biglang matututo sila parang.
I think it's a very Filipino trait that we really, as a nation, as a people, we really do not speak up. I mean, that's a Filipino trait, even in the highest levels of organizations, of executives. We really don't. It's not our nature to just speak up. So you see that in our athletes as well. So it's not like they're different from the regular Filipino. But having said that, yes, I believe that they should make a stand in socio-political issues and matters of national concern. They should make a stand because they are role models and they have platforms where people listen to. I don't think they need more education. Our athletes are very well educated. They just prefer not to rock the boat or stir up the hornet's nest, so to speak. But that doesn't mean that they don't care. That doesn't mean that they're not aware. They're very woke. They're very woke, and you're going to see it. And I think if there is a huge issue that crops up, I think you're going to see a lot of our athletes make a stand, make their own stand pretty soon.
Yeah, same sentiments naman po with me and the other athletes I've guested. They've said the similar thoughts, and yun, they feel that they could influence a good amount of people with their voice, also especially in the election. The last question po I'd want to ask is yung what do you call this? Yung suggestion po on who I could guest here on the show, kasi as you know po, wala po akong masyadong connections with athletes and coaches and media members. So who do you think po I could guest here on the podcast?
Just reach out. Just reach out. Just reach out. Everyone is on social media, on their Instagram or their Twitter accounts. Just reach out. You'll be surprised. The athletes, especially the Filipino athletes, the Gilas players, they're very easy to talk to. They're very approachable. And then if they see that I've been here, Gabe has been here, that's your best invitation to. Just reach out. You say, hey, I am Diego. I host the DVD show. I've had Coach Chot and Coach Dave Norwood on my show. Would you like to come on? And they're all going to say yes, even other coaches and all that.
So yeah, so since you need to go po, I wanted to thank you po for coming to the show. And I hope to have you po sometime again in the future. And I appreciate po that you gave up some of your time, even if you're very busy now. And yeah, do you have a parting message po, or
no, I always like to say again, to repeat, my mission is to help develop the next generation of Filipino leader, men and women who lead their organization not only to make a profit but to make a difference. And I hope that's you, Diego. That I hope that's the people listening or watching your show, your podcast, because our country needs you now more than ever.
lastly po, can we take a picture if that's fine with you?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. Okay po. So thank you so much po for coming on to the podcast again. Bye po.
Thanks.